Rev up your engines!
Jerry Ketchum says, Scotty, I'm going to buy my co-worker's 94 F-250 5.8 two-wheel drive truck with 137,000 miles on it. He wants $1,700. Is it a good deal? As they generally say, and it's kind of a truism, never sell a car to a friend and never buy a car from a friend. A lot of times, you get kind of stuck in the middle that way and then somebody gets mad. I have had customers sell perfectly good cars, even Toyotas, to other customers' cars that were friends of theirs. And invariably, the person who bought it says to me later, oh, Scotty, I wish you wouldn't have sold me that car. What a pile of junk he sold me. And it wasn't. It was a good car, but the other guy didn't maintain it. Of course, a used car, things are going to break. It's often a mistake to buy it from people, but that said, 137,000 miles isn't much on a 5.8 F-250. Those are big trucks. They can run a long time. But like anything, don't make it personal. Pay a guy like me, a professional mechanic, to check it out before you buy it, because that is an F-250. It's a big truck. Lots of things can go wrong over time. It's a 94, so what? It's 25 years old. Have a mechanic check it out before money changes hands. Mario 242, and Mario says, hey, Scotty, are the mini cars worth buying like Paso and Cube here in the Bahamas? Cost $4,000 used. I'm looking for a car in that price range. Don't buy a Mini. BMW makes a lot of the parts, has a lot to do with building them. They are made in England, but they're really basically German cars. They are not worth the money, especially used. They fall apart. The parts cost a small fortune. Do not buy a used Mini. You want to get a used car in that price range, $4,000. See if you can find a good Toyota or a Honda. Those things run forever. Hey, you're in the Bahamas, so I don't know exactly what kind of cars people have there. I was in the British Virgin Islands, and they had a lot of these little Suzuki Jeeps. Could get parts for them, and guys knew how to fix them, so that's what a lot of people drove. Those are a stupid choice in the United States because you can't get parts for them. But in the British Virgin Islands, you couldn't. A lot of guys drove them around. So see what people have in your area that are easier to get parts for and go that route, because if they can't get parts for the Toyotas or the Hondas, there's no point in buying one. You got to always check the parts availability in the neck of the woods you live in. Air Force Gary says, Scotty, my son's 99 Mercedes C230 compressor is leaking coolant at the head gasket. We tried blew every sealer a year ago. It didn't totally fix it. Now it's getting worse. Can I use steel seal that you talked about years ago? In that vehicle, no, I wouldn't go any further, because that's the compressor. It's got a supercharged engine. There's a supercharger. Superchargers blow a lot of pressure in the engine. On that thing, either put another head gasket in or just get rid of the car. There's no sealer that's ever going to work on a car like that that's got a supercharger that's cranking all that extra pressure in. It's just going to continue to leak. I've had customers try the sealers, and they never really worked. Sell the car and get out of it, because a head gasket job on that thing costs a fortune. Could even be that the head's cracked inside. They do that too, so that would be my advice. X60504 says, I'd love to get a Toyota Solara convertible, but I live in Chicago. Can I drive a convertible in the winter? Well, of course you can drive a convertible in the winter. I got a convertible, Porsche convertible sitting in the driveway I'm working on, you know. You can use them in storms. They're better made than they used to be. The tops are a little bit better sealed. I mean, if you're going to get a convertible, heck, you're going to expect to, especially if you're getting a Solara, they don't make them anymore, you're probably going to expect to have to put a top on it anyways, because they do wear out over time. Like the old convertibles that leak like a sieve. I've got customers with Toyotas, and those convertibles never had any problems with leaking and water getting inside. They're pretty well-built convertibles. You just have to decide, do you really want a convertible? Because you realize they are noisier inside, sound coming from outside, and of course they're very easy to rob because it's a convertible top. Somebody get a knife, they can slash right through the top and reach in and grab stuff. So you're living in Chicago, and I hear that's kind of a dangerous place, so maybe you would think twice. UJZ GTE. Scotty, I got a Nissan Xterra automatic transmission. I want to replace it with a manual transmission. What is the best manual transmission? Is there anything else to put when I do the manual transmission swap? Well, first, if I were you, I would rethink the entire thing, because swapping an automatic transmission and putting in a standard transmission is one gigantic rat's nest of a job. I've had quite a few customers try it. A lot of them quit and gave up. You got to put in a pedal for the clutch. You got to drill a hole in the body and then put a place for the gear shift. You're going to have to change the mounts for the transmission. Probably have to do some welding. You're also going to have to change the computer of the vehicle because they run differently with automatic and standard transmissions. My advice that I always give people on stuff like that is sell it and buy one that has a manual transmission already. It's a better thing to do than it is to try to swap it out. If you find a used one with a manual transmission, you can road test and drive it. You know the transmission's looking good. Or, I mean, if it's an old Nissan Xterra and it's not worth much, you could make 2 into 1. Fix the one that already has the manual transmission with any of the good parts from yours. That'd make much more sense.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.